Drop egg with noise in the background. First thing to do is put on a new layer. Gonna set the color in the bottom left toolbar to blue and white. So click on the back one. I've got blue and white. Go to Filter, Render Clouds. You can always hit Filter Clouds, get a different version. New layer. Go to the Polygon Lasso tool. I'm going to go click and release, click. If I want to go straight across, I'll hold down Shift. And I can let go of Shift. Once I've clicked, come back over, I'll get a little circle to complete the selection, which is also called a marquee. I'm on a blank layer. I'm going to go to, I could go to Paint Bucket. I'll go to Gradient. And here's my gradient in the top left corner. I could choose a preset or I want, or I could click on the existing one. To edit the colors, I'm going to click on the bottom stop, double click it, and choose a color. Okay. The sliders on the top are transparency, so I'm going to click on the bottom one, double click it. And if I want to save it, I'll click New. It's saved as a preset, tell it OK. And if I go short, if I go longer, usually with this you would set it all the way across it. I could also go to the top and click reverse, or I could drag the other direction. Okay, we're good. Deselect, Command D or Control D on a Chromebook. New layer. Oops. New blank layer. Deselect, Command D, Control D. Okay, the egg. Go to these tools, which are kind of like Illustrator objects. Go to Ellipse. Drag that out. There's a little icon here indicating that it's a different type of object. I'm going to right click in the gray area and hit Rasterize Layer. If you get like a warning box, just convert it, tell it yes. Okay, so we have this. If I hold down Command and I click on the thumbnail image, that's going to give me that selection. I could actually hit Backspace, delete it. I think I'll grab another gradient. Again, this could be adjusted. Maybe I'll hit reverse. Deselect. New layer. Now I want to put a layer below this one. So instead of clicking on new layer, I'll hold down Command, or on a Chromebook it would be Control. Control click on new layer. And that puts one below this, which is this one. I'm going to grab the elliptical selection tool. If I want it to be a soft edge, I'm going to change the feathering up here. It's probably set at 0. I'm going to change it to 6, enter. And even though it looks the same, when I drag this out and fill it with the paint bucket, maybe I'll hit I and I'll eyedropper this dark blue. And usually I double click over here in the swatches at the bottom and maybe darken it a little bit. The reason I darken it is when I put it in here. I'm going to deselect it. can see the edge is soft. The reason I go a little too dark is when I hit V and select it, I can move it. I can then go on to its layer and change the opacity. Okay. And we'll take the egg, duplicate that layer, drag it down onto new layers, and we'll work on the front one, which is this one. We'll grab the polygon lasso tool, create the crack. Click, 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 click. Get the little circle so it's going to complete and create the selection. So it's really on this layer is this. If I'm on that layer and I hit layer mask now, it's going to do that. It's hidden that part. Undo that, Command Z or Control Z. So I'll say select the inverse. Now hit layer mask. Now we got that. Turn on the one behind it. And select that layer. Go to Image, Adjustments. Go to Brightness and Contrast. We'll drop the brightness down. Okay. I might want to control click on that layer, or command click on a Mac. Get that, and maybe redo the gradient. It's going to be the reverse of what's on the outside. Okay, deselect that. Get the polygon lasso tool, create the new crack in the back. Maybe go a little smaller because it's further away in perspective, and things that are further away appear smaller. There's that selection. I'm really on this layer. And select the inverse and give it a layer mask. Now we have that. Then to do the thickness of the shell, I'm going to take the one in the front, this one, select it, drag it onto a new layer. So there's two. There's a chain link, so the layer mask is linked to the pixel image. So I'm going to select this, hit V, and I'm going to use the arrow keys to bump it up a few bumps. If I held down Shift, it would bump it up 10 nudges. Can't see any difference, but I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast, and bring it up. Can't see what I'm doing because I have to turn. Ooh, I've got this reversed, so I'm going to have to do this one. I'm just going to drag it down below the other one. There it is. Always have to pay attention to what layer you're on. Maybe I'll bump it back down a little bit. Zoom in. Hit H for the hand tool and drag it. So we got a little leakage on the outside. I'm going to go to one of the original egg layers and control kick on a Chromebook or a command click. And that gives me the original egg selection. But I want to affect what's outside of it. So I'm going to say select the inverse. And now, find the bright one. There's the bright one. I'm going to click on its mask, and I'm going to paint with black, so it paints it into invisibility. Try and say that. Hit B for the paintbrush. Brackets control the size. And as long as, I could always hit D to give me the default setup. and then tap X to swap back and forth between them. So I'm going to paint with black, and that's going to paint out that stuff that's hanging out on the outside edge. So now it looks like that. Command minus, Command plus, Command 0, deselect. And then the same process would be recreated for the back shell.